and goes into basically the West Valley School District.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the school board meeting of the West Valley School District Board of Directors. It is Tuesday, February 27th, 7 p.m. I'll call the meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dr. Finch, any changes to the agenda this evening?
No changes.
And communications.
Yes, we do have one response to public comment. At the school board meeting on February 13th, a community member expressed concern about legislation that he said would diminish local control of school boards. The response is that at the school board meeting tonight, February 27th, the West Valley School Board will consider a resolution to express opposition to House Bill 2331 and Senate Bill 462 due to concerns about local control. And that is the response to public comment.
Thank you, Dr. Finch. Magnus is here to deliver a high school ASB report.
We'd like to cheer on our Knowledge Bowl basketball, wrestling, and swim teams for making it to state. Way to go. Really impressive showing. We'd also like to give a shout out to our counseling and CTE department and our Ramstrong teachers for helping us register for all of our classes for second semester. And also a shout out to our counselors as well during Counselor Appreciation Week. We had our Rammies Appreciation Assembly on the 23rd, if I remember correctly, where we gave a shout out to the student productions, the plays, the bands that really make West Valley what it is. And speaking of that, we'd love to invite you all to see Freaky Friday, the musical, this Thursday, Friday, Saturday for 2 weekends in a row. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you. All right. On to item 6, which is we have a program presentation. Dr. Finch, would you like to do the introductions, please?
Certainly. So we have Richard Pryor this evening. He's our Director of Safety and Student Support. He's going to present regarding positive behavior interventions and support systems that we have focused on this year at the elementary and the mid-level. Richard's been providing support and technical assistance to the principals. So we asked at this time for the school board to join the audience so we can see the presentation.
All right, so West Valley has had PBIS. I know I went to the first sets of trainings they had down at the ESD probably about 7 years ago. And at this point, every elementary school and the middle level have some level of PBIS that they've implemented. And so what I'm going to do here tonight, just give you a short overview of PBIS and kind of where things are at and where we're looking to go for the future, the next couple of years. So PBIS is positive behavior interventions and supports. And there's a lot of research behind student behavior, and this is trying to implement a lot of those changes in how we get students to act the way we want them to act and address the behaviors that they don't have. It's a process for creating safer, more effective schools. It focuses on improving schools' ability to teach and support positive behavior for all students, integrated within the school culture, and that's where we're really trying to focus right now, is how do we not have it just a all of the, I'm going through the motions. It really is integrated into the school day, into the school culture. And how do we use data? If we're doing certain things with certain kids to try to address their behavior, is it working? Collecting data. If it's not working, what do we do? How do we intervene and support? It's a culture of consistency and more learning, increase in morale, rather than being mindset. It really is be more positive for students and create that culture where everybody is there. And when we make decisions about student behavior, it's not, well, let's just try this. It's okay, here are our tools. Here's our initial behavior plan for every kid. And then if that's not working, then here's what we're going to do. And trying to be structured in that and not seat the pants. A couple things. We're trying to use trauma-informed practices. We have students that come from a variety of things, and you never know what morning that kid had, what month that kid had. Even at kindergarten, preschool, those first 3 years are very impactful. And so students either witness or have been abused in a lot of different ways. And so we want to make sure we're sensitive to that and our practices don't create further harm. Okay. And belonging. Those relationships, those students feeling like, hey, I'm welcome here. I'm part of this. I'm a member of this community. Kids that don't feel like they're part of it, don't have that connection. There's some really good research out there about a student having at least one positive adult in their life at school can keep them on that road, keep them from dropping out. And because if you remember what it's like to be a 7th or 8th grader, that connection is very, very important. Also, we're looking at wanting to connect through our strategic planning. Goal area 1 is belonging. And so how do we make sure we're implementing that through our practices with students? All right. And finally, just why do we want to change? And a whole bunch of different things that we deal with, ACEs, split family social media, TV shows. In social media, I'm just going to do a little sidebar on here. Nobody should have a cell phone or social media until they're at least 25. I'm just going to say that. So we want to really have that positive, welcoming culture and environment for all our kids. I've had an opportunity, started my career down in Southern California, and lady by the name of Dr. Madeline Hunter was in charge of the ed department at the UCLA, and we had an on-campus program. I had a chance, first couple of my career going down, and she was even back then talking about a lot of these attributes and things. So it's been around a while. It's been talked about in different ways, but it's not anything new. We're just trying to get better at it. And it's a challenge at times because when you have people say, oh, they should already know, well, obviously we don't. And so we need to have a systemic practice. How do we build it? Okay. So we have our nice little pyramid here, PBIS. It's a tiered multi-tiered systems of support model. And on the left, you see the academic systems, which we've been using for a lot of years now. And the behaviors is kind of applied the same way. Start off at the bottom, 80-90%. That's our tier one. Everybody gets that. It's kind of like a student is struggling with reading, pull them out, we do some assessments, what's going on, try to start intervening up the ladder. And so looking at the same way with behavior systems. If you look at, this is just a sample, I pulled out 700 students. So if you got 80-90%, 550, 630, and then your yellow, and if you get to that top 1 to 5%, you're at 7 to 35 years old. That's what you shoot down to. You're really, what are we doing with this? And how do we help support them? The real challenge is that when it's school behavior, their behavior may be a survival. It might be how they actually survive and get around in their world. And they show up at school, and those skills do not work here. And so how do you teach them new skills? How do you get them so they can be successful? At some point, I'd like them paying my Social Security. So, I'd like them to be functioning, participating members of our society. 3 major components: teaching, intentional teaching, interventions. Again, what are we going to try? How are we going to do this? And then when the recognition of when behaviors are met. So tier 1 is everybody. After hopefully 89% of kids are responding to this. And we start off, you've got a matrix of all the different areas that you should expect. This is just a sample one that's out there. And so every school has, in this case, this school has SOAR, Tandem has SOAR, I think Apple Valley has Pride. And so every school has customized a little bit to themselves. And so in each area, they teach. Here's the behaviors: drinking fountain, cafeteria. You have 3 schools right now with cafeterias, so they're going to have cafeteria behaviors. We have 3 schools in each classroom. And so they're going to have 1 classroom behaviors. And so it's adapted and changed to each building. I did, I thought this was pretty cool as I was going through. Every school has their PBIS plans, and this is from Apple Valley, and they have a Pride passport. And so the kids go around and get stamps for every area, and I thought that was kind of a cool, different way of doing it that I thought was kind of, so I like that. Each school has roar bucks, paw bucks, right? All different kind of money, currency, chits that they give to kids when they're caught and meeting expectations. You want to try to get 4 to 1, 5 to 1. So you get 4 good things to it's not going to do it. And so you're really laying on the college it might be 8, 9, 10 or more times that you're recognizing that student when it's good. Because you want to prime the pump. You want to get them so they're recognizing that positive before you have to make the correction. Some of the rewards I've noticed, plans, buildings, experiences. Every building has a lot of experience. Rather than employees or little school store stuff, they're doing experiences. Whether it's because I was at Tandem so long, at a Tandem we started doing 2 movies at the high school. One at Christmas time, one at the end of the year. The kids would save up their Robux. And games, art things. Love on a Leash where certified therapy dogs come in and the kids can pay money to go and hang out with the dogs. Reading time, just a lot of different things. We also do school stores and school hatchers, things like that they can get. So there's a variety of different ways. You don't know what's going to get a kid excited about something. And so what might be for one kid a movie, yeah, I'm all over that. For another kid, I don't want to go to a movie, I want to do this. So having these opportunities is really neat. But one thing that really stood out to me as I got into these this year was shift from stuff to experiences. Now the kids really kind of jump on that and enjoy it. This is kind of a long list of MTS for Tier 1, school-wide, 3 to 5 positively stated expectations. That's for each area that we're trying to get to. And I'm not going to read all the way down, but things happen school-wide and in the classroom. So we have classroom teachers that will have little rewards and things like that for kids. It's not uncommon to walk into an elementary school and they'll get ready for a class party or something. They'll have, trying to think what they'll have the Robux or whatever. If you get so many of these or marbles in a jar. Tier 2. So this year we're really focusing on making sure solid. You can't really go to Tier 2 unless you've got some real good things in place on Tier 1. I'm real happy with what I see at Tier 2. There's some tweaks here and there and some focus stuff, but pretty well at Tier 1. Tier 2, okay, what this kid continues to blur or having fighting with this kid. And before just jumping to Tier 3, unless they come to you with a behavior IP or something, we want to go to Tier 2. And that goes to a team in the building. It's not uncommon to maybe touch base with our district behavior specialist and start looking at, okay, what's going on? What's the data involving parents? Always. And, okay, what are we going to try? We're going to try something for from 6 to 8 weeks, see if it works. If it doesn't work, then you're going to try something else. And then maybe you'll go on to here's a little better from our behavior person, kind of that process. It's evidence-based. You might have behavior contracts, monitoring, school home note, behavior trackers, different things like that. And after an effort, just, I've been trying this for 2 days. It's not working. No, we gotta look through this. You're not going to try a reading intervention for a day and say, it's not working. You've got to try it and see what happens. For students who have real involved parents that are very engaging, you do have more success. If you have parents that kind of, hey, it's up to you, you're on your own, then it can be a challenge. But this is that second step. And then it's designed, you don't want to do it all year. You don't want to do an intervention all year. Interventions, month, 2 months, and if it's not working, then let's try something else or let's go to the next step. Because those are not, it's designed to get them back in the behavior. Then Tier 3. And often those are special ed, but not necessarily 504. They can just be, okay, we need to do some work here with the students. And then again, we have our Tier 3 supports. And we can talk about use a lot of interventions that involve adjusting their schedule. You know, they get there in the morning and they wake up on the wrong side of the bed every morning. So we have them come in at noon, or they give it a real good go in the morning, and boy, in the afternoon they're wore out. And so the idea is to start getting those practices, those successes built in, and then start looking to get them. The idea is we want them at school full time. Do not want them excluded. We want them to be. And then finally, we have our behavior, which is and they have their process for addressing behavior. At the beginning of the year, there's 2 times the assessment at the beginning of the year, and it was included in the packet. But tiered fidelity inventory, schools, the team goes through that, and this year at the beginning of the year, I want to do a little handout piece, and then we'll do another one in the spring. We have a new one that is focused. Is the same inventory that it adds. You want to try to have, if you've got a high Hispanic population, you want to make sure you have some. You want to make sure you're engaging with your in the school, and that really fits. So you're getting good that perspective of someone. This the results from the 6 elementary schools, and they've all got good stuff going on. One elementary school is not doing this work. They all have it kind of in different ways. Mountain View, they did their own in there, so that's what I was. And finally, looking ahead, we want to start including some of the Castle 5 SEL components, and from state of Colorado is really doing a lot of work on that. And the 5 components of that are self-awareness, self-management, responsible decision-making, social awareness, and relationships. And so we're working with those ideas in mind, and ongoing training of district staff, and then continuing on up. How does this look? Middle level, they've got PBIS, but trying and working the tier 2, and at the high school, what does this look like? Yes. You have teachers at the high school, but people, you got to be careful when you say something, because some folks look at you and go, "What? What'd you say?" But you have people that are more focused on the content, and more people that are more easily focused on just helping the student. And so you kind of want to find that balance within supporting the whole students, regardless of their age. And that's it. So.
Thank you, Richard.
Yeah.
Ask a question.
Yeah. I mean, I have an answer. You can ask a question.
And then Richard can stay here with the mic.
No, thank you I've heard lots of really good reports about it from different schools. But you had mentioned at the beginning that the ideal is about 5% in tier 3.
Correct, yeah.
Where are we? Where's West Valley, I guess, in that? How close are we? And then also, you kind of see a downward progression of less and less in tier 5
It depends on what level you're
or
at.
tier 3.
Because I would say at the elementary level, you probably in there around that 5%, maybe a little less. And those students, and I'm speaking from my experience from a tandem and then going to the middle level, is seeing students that we spend a lot of time and energy with at the elementary level, and then they show up at 6th, 7th grade there with me, and I'm like, what happened? It's only been a year, or it's only been 3 months, right? And so I don't have an exact number for you as far as percentage, but I think it's higher when you get up in the middle of in high school. I think it becomes more challenging. At the elementary, you're able to have one teacher for the day, except for, a couple specialists. And so people are able to really build those and work on those relationships versus having, 5, 6, sometimes 7 teachers throughout a school day. So, yeah. But I think on the top, I think to be honest, I haven't done the numbers. I'll talk to, I can probably get some of those numbers for you. I think it's increasing. And student behaviors, particularly post-COVID, have definitely increased.
Yeah.
And a lot of data shows that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank
But I appreciate what you said about this has been happening for a while. I even look back to my college days, studying education, learned very similar things to how it seems like PBIS has really formalized it.
Yeah.
I love evaluation data that we saw present that booklet. So I really appreciate what's going on. The question I have is, as I read through the presentation before I came here, and SWPBIS tiered fidelity inventory,
Yeah.
I think is what it's called. Just a question came to mind as far, and you sort of explained it, but explain a little more. As I look through the supports and the various 4 to 6 week evaluation periods or 6 to 8 week evaluation periods, a student could be progressing, digressing. It seems like in theory, you could have a student that's misbehaving over a third of the school year going through the tiers. It seems like that would negatively affect the learning environment in the classroom. How do you deal with, how would you deal with a student that's just going back and forth for 4 to 6 week periods? I mean,
And
it
it's
probably doesn't
pretty-
happen that much, but it could be a long period of time.
And it's honestly, what I see right now is a very common, where you have some of the students that, okay, we hit something that's working, we're making the difference, and then we quit working. And we're starting to get back to some of these other behaviors. Maybe what I find most triggering are events at home. So I've seen where dad moves in, things get worse. I've seen where dad moves out, things get a whole lot better, or mom, or whatever's happening there. And then the PBIS team, the tier 2, tier 3 teams, have those kind of hard conversations, and that's where that modified school day comes in. Yeah, when the teachers they're starting to say, "Hey, this is really impacting. I'm not able to get through my content. The kids, they're having a hard time because of this behavior over here." Then that's when we have to have some hard conversations about, okay, do we have the student go home because maybe home really isn't safe. We're going to have the student an in-school suspension for a little bit, not as a disciplinary thing, but just, okay, let's give everybody a break and have para in there maybe, or the elementary. A lot of times it's either the counselor or the principal, unfortunately. And we'll get the content, so they're not missing the academic learning. They have access to that, and then let's work on the behavior to start introducing back in the classroom. Because there is a point where behavior that's impacting kids' ability to learn, or the teacher's ability to teach, that's something that needs to be addressed. That's kind of my soapbox too.
Just a couple of maybe follow-up questions. You mentioned on the tier 1 that you are engaged in trauma-informed practices. So what does that look like? Who assesses that? Because it seems to me, and I'm very interested in the child psychology aspect of this. It's really trying to identify why is the student behaving the way that they're behaving. And from my perspective, which is not a very educated one, it seems to me that it's, especially the younger the child, if there are things that are going on at home and you don't either have the training and the experience to identify those those issues, or just trying to, I mean, just having the expertise to try to figure that out, it would seem very challenging.
It is, but and you're right on a lot of that. I like to kind of separate the kids, and this is awful simplistic. So as I say
Yeah.
it, I'm not is externalizer and internalizers. You have kids that and people that deal with their issues express, and those are the ones that really get people's attention. But then we have our kids that keep it all kind of locked in, and they don't. And I kind of worry about those kids more than the other. So when we talk about trauma informed, we're informed that the kids are coming to us. You're better off assuming they have trauma than assuming they don't. And so we treat them with kindness, with respect, and we're really trying to work with them and not, up, you're out of here, get it.
Yeah.
And so when I think of trauma informed, that's how I think about it. Is that we've got all these things we know students are coming to us with. So our response has got to be consistent. And that doesn't mean you let kids get away with it. I'm not suggesting that they're going to let the inmates in the prison. That's probably a bad way to put that. But we're being kind to the kids.
Sure.
You know, and setting the example as the adults in the building.
Right.
And
Maybe Richard, you could share about the reset rooms, or they call them exit in elementary schools. But that's also, instead of just kicking a kid out, giving them a chance to reboot. Yeah, maybe you share that.
So you got a kid, yeah, and that's another form that it's not necessarily on the tiers, but it could be. It could be part of the students' tier 2, tier 3 plan. Students just having a rough day, they're just not able to get it together. So there's a place, a school that they can go. Usually at the elementary, it's a counselor or a principal. At the middle level, we have the access, which kind of doubles as a couple things, and they're able to go in. I just need some space. Could be dog passed away at home, or so this might be a big. And that's one thing that's kind of hard. But to us as to another person is. And so we just have to.
Oh, even with those reset rooms, I know there's protocols where timer, and they're supposed to identify what their emotions at now, and then after the timer goes off.
You can do that. And one of the things we're looking at is really kind of where they can do a check-in in the morning. When students first come in the morning, where they do a how are you? Red, green, yellow, red, and the red gets a notice on them and then goes in. We don't have that at some.
Second question was a little bit later in the presentation. When we're talking about tier 2 intervention, you indicated that parent involvement is a very vital piece of the puzzle. That's what I heard you say. So I'm not going to ask you like the percentage of. I'm not going to ask you a quantitative question, but more of a how much pushback or how much cooperation generally would you say? I mean, this is a broad question, but what's the general? Would you find that the parents are more willing to engage than less willing to engage?
More willing with the elementary.
Yeah.
You get up in the middle level, they're just kind of wore out. And that's not a criticism.
No,
It's just,
not at all.
They've had 5, 6, 7 years. And here we go, kind of a thing. But at the elementary level, and the biggest, I think the biggest precursor to success with parents is being upfront. Hey, we're struggling with this. This is, first of all, do you have any things at home that helped you with this? What could we do? How could we work together? Sure. What do you think? And most successful I've seen are when there's a plan at school that's been followed through and at home also. So there's a real good consistency between home and there and school. Now I have run across even at elementary, and parent, hey, they're your problem for those 6
Sure.
hours. And at the middle level, high school, we're seeing more and more where parents start to, and a lot of times it's not even the parents, it can be a grandparent,
Right. Sure.
and I'm not saying they're not supportive. They're just kind of like, good luck. Done a little bit.
Richard, I just have a sort of a general information question for you. So, as whatever reason, sometimes a student may move between classes or between schools or maybe from different grades, for whatever reason they may move. And I'm just wondering, does the program change as they get older? Do the interventions, are they just sort of tweaked for the age, or are they actually different interventions as we
Quick for the age.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I'm real pleased with right now, building transfer. If say a student goes from Tandem to Apple Valley, behavior expectations don't change. They might have some words different in there, some way they're saying, like pride, roar, or something like that. But the expectations are the same. Going up, they're the same. Trying to think now what RAM stands for. I'm drawing a blank, but it still fits. It starts with respect,
It's accountability.
accountability, motivated, and service. I just need a little help.
That's all right.
So it still fits, and they have a matrix and behavior expectations too. The challenge as students get older is they start more and more at independence, having a mind of their own, and it's how do we get them more engaged in the program and wanting to do better. That's the challenge.
this question. So, and I assume we do some of these things, but we keep some sort of longitudinal information on the progress as things goes on, so that in future interventions can go and rely on what was successful and what wasn't.
Through with IEPs, 504s, yes, it's all part of the record. If it's just a regular student, they do, and I got back to middle level, got back to visit elementaries, visiting the middle school, and having those conversations so we knew about kids coming. But as far as a formal, for kids that don't have, like I said, something formal, help me out. Do we have any? I don't think we do. We have our care teams, but as far as something written down, I think the question is, okay, we tried these.
Well, the conference record is in Skype. So if there's a student conference,
They should have that. Yeah. So I think that's a good, that's something that would be a good thing to add. So.
Thank you.
Anything else? Well, thank you very much.
Well, thank
Thank
you.
you, Richard.
Okay. On to item 7, which is public comment on non-discussion agenda items. We don't have anybody signed up, but we have 2 public comment periods tonight. One would be non-discussion agenda items. We have later in the meeting, we have 2 items for discussion. One involves the transfer of territory from the Acma School District to the West Valley School District, and then discussion on a resolution to oppose a couple of bills that are in the Washington State Legislature right now. So those are the discussion items this evening. We didn't have anybody sign up for public comment, so at this time, I'll open it up for anybody else that would like to address the board on any topic that is not a discussion item at this time. Just as a reminder, public comment is not the proper forum to address concerns about a specific staff member. If a person has concerns about a specific staff member, they are encouraged to make an appointment directly with Dr. Finch to address those concerns. So at this time, I'll open up the public comment period on non-discussion agenda items.
Hi, I'm Megan Mock. I just have two questions or things for you guys to maybe look into and think about. The first one is with regard to Senate Bill 504, no, 55044. That was passed back in 2021. It was required that starting in the school year 23-24, that one professional learning day must be used for DEI professional development. And so I was wondering if there was somewhere that the choice the district had and what they were training the teachers in for that day was made public somewhere. Because if you look at the WEA website, the choices are pretty crazy and ridiculous. And so I was just curious as to what the teachers in West Valley had to do for that DEI development day. So that's my first question. The second question is I was wondering if it could be made public what the Climate Commitment Act fee on the school's power bill is, if you guys looked that up at all. It would probably help a lot of voters make a good decision for when the initiatives come out on our ballot. So those are my two questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Hey everybody, this is Matt Brown, City Council of Yakima. Just thought I'd stop in and say hello. This is really just a hello. Haven't seen you guys yet. Just ran here from Yakima City meeting tonight. So just wanted to offer up our time if you guys would like to meet or talk about any city and school board issues that we can partner with. Just feel free to reach out to me anytime. So thank you guys.
Thank you, man.
Seeing that nobody else is jumping up to speak, I'll go ahead and close the public comment period on non-discussion agenda items. Moving on to item 8, which is approval of consent agenda, as is usual and customary, and as the case tonight, we have approval of minutes from February 13th, study session and school board meeting, approval of vouchers, payrolls, financial reports, approval of employment contracts, retirements, resignations, and separations, approval of leave requests. And those are all part of the consent agenda. Does anybody have any questions? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
There's just one minor thing is the minutes say that James Heed made a motion. So it's either James Gilpart or Joel Heed. You guys are
Do we know
close.
which we can change right now?
Which one
I made
was it?
All
You
right,
made the
Joel,
motion? Perfect. Okay.
We'll make that correction. right
So
now.
we can still entertain a motion to approve with that correction being.
So moved.
Thank you. Call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries on the consent agenda 5-0. Item 9, discussion items. First item is a transfer of territory of some land that is presently in the Yakima School District, petitioning to move to the West Valley School District. Dr. Finch, can you introduce that for us, please?
Certainly. Well, we have a resolution later in the meeting to approve this request. The request is filed by property owner Megan Hodges on behalf of the other property owners. There's 4 lots. The addresses are 5808 Scenic Drive, 5810 Scenic Drive, and 5802 Scenic Drive. Other surrounding houses in that neighborhood are in the West Valley School District. The 4 lots that are proposed here are currently in the Yakima School District, and the property owners would like to have the boundary moved so that they would be in the West Valley School District like other houses in that neighborhood. Mr. Wolcott had asked me to take a look into this, and It really is like a jigsaw, the way the boundary is between Yakima and West Valley. There's not a straight line that delineates between the two districts. So this is part of that jigsaw right there. And the property owners are requesting to move the boundary. And just for the audience to know, um, I have received an indication from Yakima School District that they will not approve the request. So if the two districts are at an impasse, then as per state law, ESD 105 creates a citizens committee that reviews the request and makes a decision regarding the request. So the citizen committee would make the final decision.
About how long does that process take?
I think there's 90 days for the districts to try to come to some resolution, and then after that, I believe there's another 90 days to pull the committee together.
And do we have any understanding or idea, at least based upon the occupancy of the current parcels, how many students that would possibly bring into the district? And then secondly, what schools, if they're elementary age, I guess they would go to, would it be in Summit or Apple Valley?
I believe it's Summit View, the attendance area, and I actually do not know the number of students.
Okay.
We do
I think
have
that's a material consideration as far as I'm
out of
concerned.
district requests that are on a case-by-case basis. In this case, we're wanting to have the same neighborhood,
Right.
to be, with their adjacent property, have it all be in the same neighborhood in the same school district.
Okay.
How many times would you say in the last, I don't know, give 10 years, have we had requests such as this?
In the previous 9 years, we had none.
Okay. That's all I
And
need
then,
to know.
last year there was a request where the actual boundary of the district through the first request, Yakima approved because they said more than 50% of the property was in the West Valley School District, so they approved that one. Then the second request was a neighbor, and Yakima said that it was not over 50%, so they did not approve that one. That one is still having a contention between the districts and having the citizens committee do the review. So this is the third request we've had in a year. Prior to that, we had 0.
Has Yakima School District ever requested for us to move some to their district?
Well, it
No,
would be a petition.
Right. the
Not-
citizens-
not- yeah.
Yeah, we have not
Yeah.
had the citizens petition the other direction.
I'm sorry.
No, there has not been a request
Thank
to move the Valley School District into Yakima.
Peter, have we have any idea of adjacent properties that might be interested in this as well? I mean, we're tackling this. I know that's a difficult question to ask, but I'm just thinking to myself, we've had several of these all of a sudden, and I remember the other ones. So I'm just wondering if it's worth at least having some foresight that this could come up again. And as we go through this process, maybe lessons learned. And secondly, a second question. I think I read somewhere, but there is no cost to the school district for doing this. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, but it really is it's on behalf of the citizen. It's in the law that a citizen can make this request, a property owner, and it goes to the school district to either approve it or, again, if it's at an impasse, then it goes to the education service district. So I really haven't heard from any other property owners at this time. There's no cost to the district on these. As just a courtesy, I've been attending the hearings just to support the property owners and their request to move to West Valley.
Thank you.
Anything else on this? And then we can take it up for approval of resolutions a little bit later in the meeting. Okay. On to item 9B, which is a discussion on opposition to Gross Senate Bill ESHB 2331 and ESB 2462. Open it up for discussion.
I would just say I do think this is a resolution we should approve. I think we, as a school board and a school board, begin to control of choice for our school district, and so a resolution is really a statement. So it's not something that says, "Oh, we're changing something," but it is a statement, I think, to the state to say that we do want to have a voice in our school district, and so to accept everything that comes down and to have funding tied. I think this is a good place for us to begin to say we want some of our local control back. So my vote is to approve this resolution.
I also believe a lot of what is in this bill is already in our policy. And so most of this is taken care of in our current policy, but some of the wording in both of these bills have language like the directors may not refuse to approve. So it always cracks me up when it's like, oh yeah, we have a vote, but we really don't, because if you don't approve this, then we're probably going to fine you or do something else. So that never makes sense to me when they say we're going to not go against what we're telling you. So this just further, in my mind, further takes local control of school boards away. So I'm in favor of the resolution. And again, I agree with James. There's I think the one bill is almost ready to be signed actually within a week.
I'll just maybe offer a counterpoint. I've reviewed the bills. I'm troubled that the sponsors of the bill feel the need to write this legislation in the first place. I'm troubled that if passed, you only have one group of people at the table to develop standards of curriculum that would be adopted, especially when this is designed to tackle more than just that one group's concerns. I wish the bill was much more well-rounded. I am also troubled by the continued erosion of local control imposed by the state legislature on school boards. And I also, no matter what happens, I have supreme confidence in our professional education staff to promote belonging of all students in school. With that said, I'm not quite sure what this resolution accomplishes. What is the wisdom of passing this resolution? We talked about our voice being heard. Well, our voice is being heard by our representative elected officials here locally, have either voted against the bill or will be voting against this bill. So they are our voice in the legislature. And whether you want to say it's unfortunate or not, it's depends on what side of the political spectrum you sit on. But the reality of the situation is, regardless of the resolution or not, the likelihood is that this bill or some form of this bill is probably going to pass. And like most laws, we're not going to know the impact of the bill until the details of what these standards look like are rolled out. And so I don't, again, go back to, is it wise to be adopting this? I'm having a hard time seeing what the gain is, what the upside is for the district. And if we pass this resolution and then the law passes, where does that leave us? What message does that send to our community? Does it send to the community that if we pass this resolution, but the law still passes in spite of our resolution, are we going to refuse to adopt the policy that would be required by law? Because if that's the case, I'm out. I won't tolerate that. Unfortunately, laws get passed all the time that we may not like, but if we don't like the law, then then the citizens change the law or change the people that represent us in Olympia to make the law. So I just don't, if the message gets sent that we pass this resolution as a precursor for the bill passing and us not passing or not passing what would be required of us in adopting a policy, which again, I want to be real clear. I don't like that. I don't like laws that impose uh, policy be adopted by school boards. That erodes our ability to hear. And frankly, again, I don't view that this statute is needed. But I just again don't. I have a hard time finding the wisdom in passing. It's absolutely fine to individual school board members to feel compelled to oppose. I just don't know that it's wise for the board to oppose um, as a corporate entity, especially if more than one of us does not vote in support of the resolution that has been proposed tonight. So um, those are my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Thorner. I've read this thing thoroughly, and I have very similar thoughts as Mr. Thorner has as well. Um, I think the number one question in to me is, what does this resolution actually do for us? What is it saying about our school district? Um, we have a lot of control already. There are things that um, the legislature can pass, but I think those things that we disagree with are better spoken by our community itself to go out and say to our legislatures, why are we here? Us resisting, or maybe that's too strong a word, but simply saying that we don't like this, I agree. I mean, there's going to be erosion of control to some degree. To what extent, I'm not sure yet. I don't know what the ins and outs of this are actually going to be and what they're going to do for us, or are they going to not work so well for us? I think, like many things, I tend to be someone who likes to, okay, somebody proposed this for some reason. Let's see if we can get to the core of that reason. Is there a benefit in any of this to our school district? One of the things that I know I'll be in the minority on this one, but one of the things that I do see in most legislation that's presented to any body like ours is an attempt to provide some level of uniformity across the spectrum, whether it's the state or the city, that some things are consistently applied. And to me, I think that's good. I think that's a healthy thing for us to do that. Now, is this the best example of that? Maybe, maybe not. That remains to be seen. But a resolution that just simply say, in my mind here, that we don't like this. Well, of course, I may not like some of it, but we don't know what the final outcome is actually going to be at this point. So I don't know that a resolution to say this gets us anywhere. I may be outvoted here, but I just simply think that this sends the signal that a little bit of, we disagree with you, but we're going a little bit further than just disagreeing. We're saying this, to you, that we're not necessarily going to be satisfied with this. And then I think the community can jump in and simply go to their elected officials, not the school board per se, but the officials who make the laws, and simply say, we want this changed. But right now, I don't know that this goes anywhere for me. It does anything special for me, because what's in here already feels to me like we already have control of some of those things as it is right now. Anyway.
It seems to me that we have so little opportunity to use our voice in any category. And we always assume that there's somebody who's speaking for us and that they have our values in mind. As I've thought about this issue, I've thought how I would use my voice and how I would use the voice of the people who did elect me and who want local authority to be contained. I don't know if it's going to change anything. I don't know if it creates a spur that hurts people in the long run. But I do know that it gives us the opportunity to use the voice that we've been given. And I'm going to exercise that opportunity to use my voice and the voice of the people who have elected me.
And I would just say that we're not the only district that's making this statement. And I think the louder a voice gets, whether that's a collective or it's a single individual, the more that voice is going to be heard. And so, and I think there'll probably be others that would follow, but I do think we have to take the opportunities that we are given. And it is, yeah, I mean, what does this do? Like, we're not affecting on the bill, but we are having a voice, and my hope is that that voice will be heard. It doesn't guarantee it will be heard, but my hope is that it will be heard. And I agree. I think all the people that voted for us because they expect us to stand up for their voice. I think the lower the level of status of position, our position is a position of status. We have a public platform. I think the lower that platform is, the less the voice is heard. So I think we have to be the voice that represents the lower, and that's why I think I'm going to vote for it. But I do appreciate the counter, and it's something I've also wrestled with as well.
I'd like to add just one other thought here. And this will go to Joel's point about the voice. I believe it's very important. I will say that in everything, there's a time and place the most evident, and that's when, at least for me, this person, that when we use that voice, we want to know that we are really getting something in return for using it. I just feel like saying this, what does it get us? I mean, sure, we can disagree with it, but is it going to change the needle? Is it going to move it? And it's like when I have a vote, I want to vote on something, I want to know that when I'm voting on something that's making a change, it's doing something, it's getting me somewhere. But, again, it's symbolic at best to me. I think that's what we're doing here is the symbolism. And I'm more of an action-oriented person. If we were voting to say that something in here very specific that contradicts our values or something of that nature that strongly out there, and perhaps even do, of course, if it came to the legislature, they probably feel it is. It may be a strong voice in that. Hope that it gains momentum here. But I just go back to it's a symbolic gesture. I recognize, and I don't want to take it away from your feelings of this. It's just again my
and in truth,
if we're going to.
No, I totally agree. And I think it is a symbolic gesture. But I think that's where sometimes the voice is, because you may not have the opportunity to activate change. Being recorded for the statements.
Well said. I don't disagree with that.
But your statements that you make do not have to be in the form of a resolution from a school board. You have an individual voice as a school board member to lobby and advocate however you want.
Yeah, and another good point is, I guess what I would ask if we do this, we do a roll call vote so that we have a record of how everyone. I'd like again to show that feeling voting for something that can change things. I think that's really important. Otherwise, to me, it feels like a bit of a waste. I mean, vote on something, but we know it's not going anywhere. But we vote on things, we save our vote, we use it, and it's going to affect something. It's going to make a difference. Again, I'm not trying to take anything away from it. To be some of the things that were said there, I totally agree with. I agree with. I'm talking about where we use our leverage to our best advantage. And if we use it on this, I kind of feel that, I mean this the way it'll sound, sort of a wasted vote, because it's not going to do anything. It's not going to change the field. And they're just going to say, okay, well, this is district voted against that. But when something major comes along, I don't want to be in that group that, oh, they just voted on it last time. They didn't vote last time. So the view is different. I want our voice to mean something when we make a resolution, we vote on something. I want to know it counts. My 2 cents.
Yeah, I think, so how do you measure the effectiveness? I think one voice will give proof to one voice. So, if we take the courage to have that voice, I think there's others that will follow. And it might be individuals that use their voice and go to the legislature. And so, and I know, I can't remember which bill it was, but one of these, they had the call for the number of people that were for it, the number that were against it. You had 400 or so that were for it, and then like 2,600 that were against it. So what you have is bills being passed, but not necessarily listening to the voice of the people. And so, how do we measure the effectiveness of this when yes, it's just a resolution? I think my hope is that it does give courage to other people to have them. So, and we can't measure that effectiveness, but our hope is that by taking this step, maybe we'll see the next step after that, and maybe we'll see the next step. But I do think I'd rather do that than wait until it comes down and I have to wrestle with how I respond to it from Washington. So I'd rather say something now and hopefully the state hears before. But I appreciate the discussion. I feel like this is really the first discussion I get to have on the school board so far. So
I can respect your opinion. I'm not going to go through this. There's some things here that I read that really strike me, and that's why I brought up conformity of application, some of the policy. I like that. I work for the government. I know that I don't always agree with them, but there's a basis and purpose behind much of what the government does. And I have also found in the long run, sometimes those things are needed. We don't recognize it at the time. It's not an easy road to travel. It's not, because there's going to be stuff that we disagree with. And I'm not saying that they're always going to be right, but that's where our citizens are. And it's the louder, stronger voice that really gets those leaders to make those changes for us. And then we wouldn't be having these kinds of discussions where we're potentially a resolution can't change or move like home. But that being said, I respect all of your opinions, and that's why we're here to have those discussions about these things.
Okay. On to item 10, which is for us to receive public comment on the discussion items that you just have heard. This time, I'd open for public comment on the discussion items. And again, please identify yourself before you speak. That would be appreciated.
Good evening, Peter Marinacci. Very interesting discussion. I was actually caught off guard that this was actually being considered as a resolution. So I'm one of the citizens that supports this, and it does make a difference, and it can turn the dial. Because as a taxpayer constituent, I want you guys to have local control. And so, notwithstanding the fact that the state's probably going to pass this, It does say send a message. You can make a statement. Just because we're on the minority side, on this side and out on so many issues, we need to speak up. I've talked to my legislator, Curtis King, Chris Corey, and what they've told me is it does make a difference when we hear the voices. And I voted in. And I think the majority of the folks in the West Valley School District want to hear people who represent us as a voice, not just as an individual, as a voice. And we don't want to lose local control. There's a comment there earlier where it said that, well, it's a little bit vague. Is this like Nancy Pelosi say, well, let's pass it to see what's in it? No, because it's vague, let's call them out on it. Let's tell them we can make the decisions. Somebody made the comment that a lot of this is already in our policy. Great. Why do we need their uniformity? Let's make the decisions ourselves. You're very intelligent people. You've got the capacity. You've got the capability. Are we afraid to speak up because we'll be identified? No. There's other school districts who've looked at this, and there'll probably be more. And to the point to one of you that spoke up earlier, give it a chance. You might be on the losing end of it. However, do you really want to be neutered as a board in making decisions? Really? That's what you want? Take a stand. If it passes that law, we don't have to go against the law. You still can stand up to what the constituents want. And they want you guys to have control. Thank you.
So I would like to speak in favor of both the resolutions. Sitting in city government, we pass resolutions today that really it's almost just throwing our voice into the air, hoping someone catches. However, so much with our voice is powerful to our communities that want to hear it, because our job as elected officials is to propose from what's being passed from others that don't live in our community. We're supposed to be here and be their voice and say, hey guys, this is not okay. And so even though we don't make the law, right? None of us are legislators at that level. We do get to represent our folks. And I think that's why I'm in favor of this. Again, if all of the resolutions that we passed that really don't mean much either. I mean, let's be honest. There's a ton of resolutions that you guys probably passed and go, what was that for? Did that accomplish everything that you're scrutinizing? Probably not. And so I just say that because I think we're getting hung up on the ones and zeros here when it's pretty easy. Vote in favor of your people. Thank you.
I'm Megan Mock. So I've got a couple things to say. I'm also in favor of this resolution. And Mr. Strong, the people did speak. Joel and James and Steve got elected by a landslide. That was us speaking. That was the community using their voice. And I am so grateful that they're up here to support our voice. And so I think it would be wise for you guys, Mr. Thorner and Mr. Strong, to join in with these guys and support this. Your consciences are troubled by these bills, and you should be considering that in what you know in your heart is right and wrong. And if there was one line that encouraged you to do the right thing, it would be what Mr. Wilcox shared about the directors not being able to disapprove anything. I mean, for any reason, why wouldn't every board of directors be opposing this? It's taking away your job while you're here. and how it can change things. Um, as someone who spends a lot of my time telling people to get their kids out of the government indoctrination centers, I think this would be one little tiny step into earning the trust of people who about public schools the way I do. This would be one tiny little step to get some of that enrollment back. And so I would encourage you to pass this resolution.
Hi, my name is Barb Wharton. I just have comments on three things that were said. One of them, it was stated that what is it saying about our school district? And for the first time in a long time, it's going to say our school district has a backbone. So that's my answer to that question. And then it was brought up that you have to wait to get something in return. There are thousands of people that have stood up for a long time at the front end of it and got nothing in return, even after they died, to stand up for something that's right. So that's my second answer. And third is it was made a comment that this would be a wasted vote. I never think a vote is wasted. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? All right, I'll go ahead and close the public comment period. Again, thank you for those that came forward. On to action items. We have 4 travel requests. So 11A is approval of travel requests. We have 4 of them that were in the board packet. We can take these as a group unless anybody has any specific questions. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion
Thank you. To take them as a
to
group.
take them as a group.
Thank
yeah.
you. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item 11B1, this is resolution 2402-762, which is the resolution on accepting transfer of territory from the Yakima School District into the West Valley School District. Any further discussion by the board members? If not, we can entertain a motion.
So moved.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Strong. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Approval of item 11B2, approval of resolution 24-02-763. So this is on the resolution that's in the board packet as presented on opposition to ESHB 2331 and ESB 5462. Any further discussion by the school board at this time? Okay. Well, I didn't mean to cut that off so quickly. Sorry.
No.
Okay, everybody's good? Okay. I'd entertain a motion then, if somebody would like to make on the resolution.
I'll make a motion.
Okay. I'll go ahead and call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Okay. Did you get the okay. The motion carries 3-2. Next up, 11C, which is approval of information technologies network electronics bid. There was a memo in the packet for some work and some equipment for upgrades and updates to our information technology systems. I think there was a good question that was raised about that the quote that was in the packet was beyond the time that they would honor it, but then we received subsequent communication in response to a question that said that the bid as presented would be honored by that company. So there would be no further change in the price. Did I summarize that correctly?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. Any other questions from the school board members? Okay. I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the network electronics bid award. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Next up is approval of the West Valley Secretaries Association, which is a 3-year contract beginning at the start of next school year, 2024 through 2027. The contract was in the board's packet. Any other questions from board members?
I'll just say, I think Joe did a great job.
Thank you to Joe Conley for his work and the Secretaries Association for their work in being ahead of the game. That's appreciated for our planning purposes as we get ready to budget this summer.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract.
Thank you. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Next up is approval of the 2024-2025 instructional calendar. Dr. Finch, would you like to introduce this and talk about why do we do this and what's the process for everybody in the audience, but then also our new board members to have some understanding as well?
One of the main things is to make sure we coordinate with our neighboring districts for our spring break time. And so we had worked in a partnership with our West Valley Education Association to develop the calendar. When we learned that the neighboring districts were going to have spring break during that basically it's the second week of April, we worked to have a memo of agreement with our association so that we could move forward and have a coordinated spring break for our families, so that they have the same spring break. If a family lives in Yakima or East Valley or Selah and then works in West Valley or vice versa, it's we want to have convenience for them to have the same spring breaks. We're able to put that in place, and would like to get this adopted so we can start advertising next year's calendar with our community.
It requires a motion by us to approve the 2024-2025 instructional calendar. So I'd entertain a motion at this time. Thank you. Call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries on approval of the instructional calendar for next school year 5-0. Items rising.
I have one item. Know that there has been a change in some of the composition of the city council, and amongst one of those was the city manager's departure. Previously, I think Dr. Finch and we went down and we met with the previous city manager who was working on a process to try and make improvements to Zero Road. And my thinking is with that departure that we probably have to revisit that process or make sure that we've kind of still got a placeholder in the minds of those who make the decision about trying to make improvements on Zero Road. So I just bring that up as a point of something that I would like to continue to pursue, because I believe strongly we need to at least get a sidewalk all the way down Zero Road from the football field down to almost the mid-level campus there, and maybe a crosswalk somewhere in between there for safety purposes. So I just bring that up as something to keep on our minds as we move forward to this year, and it's something that I would like to continue to press with the city managers.
And just to share, we did have staff from the department who are still with us. We're working. Chris Corey had asked, Representative Corey had asked about the project, and he did get information. Got information from the city and the school district together, not only for ZEER, but also a project that would have sidewalks on 88th around Apple Valley Elementary. We have a lot of walkers that are to Apple Valley. That would really be a good situation there on 88th to have sidewalks as well. And so we did give that information to Representative Corey, and we'll see what happens with the legislative process. But there could be the opportunity that he was able to put that into transportation budget.
He mentioned that. Yeah, very good. Glad to hear that that wasn't changed. Thank you.
Did I hear another item coming from down here?
I was just saying it was a good night for that to be items arising.
Oh, okay.
Considering our audience.
No, I didn't want to, any other items? Okay. I didn't want to move on too quickly. Okay, item 13 is reports. We have enrollment reports, safety reports, and travel log report. Dr. J, anything to add?
Nothing on those reports.
Superintendent's report?
Yeah, I'd just like to share with the community that I put it in the superintendent's report. I'll be moderating a panel discussion for the Rotary program on Thursday for downtown Rotary. We're going to highlight registered apprenticeship duties there are throughout the Yakima Valley, and West Valley was a leader to get those into place with the 2017-18 school year. One of our graduates who graduated in 2019, Stephen Sanchez, went on to get his degree at Central Washington University, was able to graduate early from Central because of the college credit he earned while doing the apprenticeship. He also, his apprenticeship was with Texco Aerospace, which is near the airport. During the summers in college, he came back and worked. This is something I learned from the Javier Arce is going to be on the panel for Texco. He said it was really great if you think apprenticeship, you want to have a person go right in and be hired, which we did have one of our recent graduates from the Innovation Center get hired by Texco last spring and graduation. But even having Stephen available to come in during summer, because that's when everyone wants to take their vacation, right? So Stephen was able to come in and help with Texco, with their staffing, continuous education. He graduated from Central and is now hired and employed over in Redmond by Genie Industries. He's an industrial engineer. He's helping to design a plant. They're going to manufacture the Genie products in Mexico. He's designing the plant right now. And all that. Stephen's going to come back and be part of the panel. Genie has authorized him to take the day and support registered apprenticeship here in the Valley. He'll be part of the panel. Javier Arce from Mexico and Mark Keeney from ESD 105 will be on the panel. So this will be highlighting one of our graduates. And just really looking forward to this program on Thursday. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Yes, it's coming up, and you can certainly attend. And we have a guest list from West Valley, so you certainly are welcome to be on that guest. It starts about 11:45, and there's lunch provided, and our program will start about 2:30.
Thank you. Item 15, board reports, board development. Just information for school board members. In the superintendent's evaluation that I sent out for review, we had a couple of minor corrections that I've made, and I sent those to Dr. Finch so that he could bring the printed out revision to the school board meeting tonight. But due to operator error of not pressing the send button, it stuck in my drafts until just a few minutes ago. So Dr. Finch will bring that to our next school board meeting for us to sign. So apologies for operator failure. Anything else from the board on board reports? Okay. So it is 8:26. We will adjourn the meeting. Thank you very much. There are things for the board members to sign.